And we're going to talk about that a little bit today as well, and then we'll get to our major topic, which is connective tissue and nitric oxide. Love that stuff. Vapor hormone. If you're sick, folks, I'm here to help you get better. If you're not feeling as well as you should, I'm here to help you get better. If you want to get better. If you're dealing with a degenerative disease, you can be helped, no matter what that degenerative disease is. Even if you had organs removed, you're just not feeling right, you're not condemned to misery. We can help you here on the bright side with the bright side philosophy, the bright side ideas. We can help you by using ideas, using the youngevity products, and most importantly, by simplifying. Health should be simple. Health can be simple. Reversing degenerative disease can be simple. We left off yesterday talking about ALS, the latest fad illness, and then how it works, its nature, its generic nature as an iconic, classical degenerative disease. Nothing more, nothing less. It's terrible, yes. It's deadly, yes. But it is generic in the sense that the development of ALS at the cell level, and remember, all disease is cell disease, at the cell level where disease begins, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, Charcot's disease, whatever you want to call it, it's the same development as with all degenerative diseases at the core. It's cells gone wild. I want to finish up talking about ALS today, and then tomorrow we'll move on to hormone health. We'll talk about this vapor hormone that comes from arginine. There's so many roles to play in health, especially in the health of the heart and the circulatory system and the health of connective tissue. It also has a role to play in wound healing. So, if you're interested in reversing ALS or preventing ALS, what can you do? Well, first of all, as we spoke yesterday, as far as pathology goes, as far as disease goes, there's nothing special about ALS. It's a standard, run-of-the-mill degenerative disease in the sense that the way it develops is generic. And this is the whole point. This is a major pillar of what I call the bright side philosophy. It's simplification. It makes health easy. If you're out there and you're thinking it can't be easy, or you believe in the medical model and you think you've got to treat this organ and this system and that system and use this drug and that drug and have this diagnostic test and go to this kind of doctor, endocrinologist and a gynecologist and a dermatologist and a psychologist, and you got to go to all these different doctors and have all these different diagnostic tests done and have all these different medications done and address all of these different organ systems, well, this is not a message for you. If you're thinking that health is complicated, your body is complex, and there's no way it can be this simple, this is not a message for you. But if you know in your heart that you can be healthy, that you can feel better, that there's something that you can be doing today, right away, to turn your degenerative crisis around so that you can feel better, this is great news. Health is as easy as good food and nutrition, oxygenation, staying away from toxicity, and toxicity means drugs, and it means sugar, and it means food processing chemicals, excitotoxins and such, and improving your body's ability to detoxify or to clean itself. If you're dealing with a degenerative disease, folks, please understand this. Disease is not a thing. It's not an entity. It's not a noun. It's not a object that can be eradicated like a cockroach. It can't be forcibly evicted like a bad tenant. It's a process. Disease is a livingness. It's bad livingness. And this is such good news because processes can be reversed. No one has to be condemned to a process. A process can be turned around. No one has to be condemned to a process, and no one has to be condemned to a degenerative disease, which is the vast majority of the diseases that we confront. It's the vast majority of, it accounts for the vast majority of costs that are spent in healthcare. All degenerative disease is based on the same type of breakdown. It's all generic. It happens the same basic ways. ALS, MS, fibroids, osteoporosis, Marfan syndrome, autoimmunity, whatever. It's all cells gone bad, cells misbehaving, cells not doing their business correctly, cells producing stuff in excess or not producing enough stuff, or cells making the wrong kind of stuff following a disruption. Following some kind of disruption. And that disruption can be a nutritional deficiency, it can be a problem with oxygenation, or it can be toxicity, and that's pretty much it. Nerve diseases, neurological problems are classic examples of excessive proteins being secreted. In the case of Alzheimer's, and built up, secreted and accumulated. In the case of Alzheimer's disease, they'll tell you that there's an accumulation of proteins that they call neurofibrillary tangles, or sometimes they'll call them senile plaques. In the case of Parkinson's disease, there's an accumulation of proteins called Lewy bodies. That's L-E-W-E-Y. And in the case of ALS, there's defective proteins that are hard and fibrous that form something called sclerosis. Sclerosis are hard, fibrous proteins. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, multiple sclerosis. You know, we make a big deal about 3D printing. These days, everybody's pretty much heard of 3D printing. I remember when I was doing radio about 5 or 6 years ago, and I first heard about 3D printing maybe 7 years ago, and I talked about it on the radio. Nobody understood what I was talking about. Today, you can get a 3D printer, literally a printer that will print little objects. It'll print screws and forks, and now they're even talking about printing food. And 3D printing machines are available at Office Max. You can get them on Amazon.com for $500 or $1,000. You can print your own stuff, print your own food. They're even printing kidneys. Excuse me. They're printing organs. 3D printing, it's unbelievable what you can do with this 3D printing. Forget printing on a piece of paper. In the future, and by future I mean in the next 2, 3, 5 years, everybody's going to have their own 3D printer. You won't go to the store to buy things, you'll print them. Well, guess what? Cells are 3D printers. Cells are nanoscopic 3D printing machines. They print molecules. That's what a cell does. A cell is an organic, nanoscopic, teeny tiny, infinitesimally small 3D printer. Hang tight, I'll tell you what I mean by 3D printing cells, because it has a lot to do with health and wellness. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. Our call-in number today is 855-660-4261. We do have a couple lines open for you, 855-660-4261. Try to call in early, and we'll get your calls here in our next segment. So, 3D printing. I remember when I first heard about it, I didn't even understand it really, and then the more I read about it, the more it sounded futuristic, and this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was thinking, well, we'll have 3D printers maybe in 15 or 20 years. Well, lo and behold, today, you go to Office Max or Amazon.com and buy yourself a 3D printer and print your own jewelry, print your own candy, print your own screws, and print your own hobby objects, and they print your own clocks, print your own ornamental objects, print your own back scratchers and coat hooks, doorknobs, etc. These are all printed in your home. And software, by the way, a lot of it anyway, is free. People just make up software for doorknobs, and you just type in the software, punch in the software, and you print up a doorknob. They can print kidneys and organs. They can print food. But guess what? As amazing and as high-tech and as ridiculously scientific as 3D printing is, cells figured out how to do it billions of years ago. Cells are nanoscopic 3D printing machines, but they don't print jewelry and they don't print candy, they print molecules. And this process of molecule printing is so unbelievable that science fiction couldn't even come up with it. Cells print millions, literally millions of molecules every minute. How could this possibly be? How could a cell have the intelligence to know how to print molecules? But it does. In this amazing high-tech fashion that even a science fiction writer couldn't even think of. But in order for this 3D printing to take place, and in just the right amounts, the cells need to have the raw materials, they need to have a clean working environment, and they need to have energy. They need fuel, they need raw material, and they need a clean working space, a non-toxic working environment. That means nutrition, that means oxygen, and that means no poison, or at least efficient detoxification. Disease occurs when something goes awry in this 3D printing process, in this cellular 3D printing process. Degenerative disease occurs when something goes awry in this 3D printing. It's all cellular. Degenerative disease is all cellular, and it's all correctable by us. Don't fall for disease mania, where your disease gets named, and then you treat your specific disease. What do I do for ALS? Doctor, I got ALS, I got MS, I got whatever. Guillain-Barré. They're all the same thing at the cell level. There's really only one thing that causes all degenerative disease. Cells gone rogue. Cells gone wild. That's it. Cells not doing their business. Cells producing too much of something. The 3D printing gets whacked out and cells start producing too much. They start printing too many molecules or not enough molecules, or they produce molecules defectively. Instead of a beautiful piece of jewelry that comes out of the 3D printer, you get this distorted, messed up piece of jewelry. Cells are like people. If you abuse them long enough, if you don't feed them correctly, if you have them breathing polluted oxygen, or polluted air, oxygen depleted air, if you have them stewing in their own waste, they're going to become sick, just like you would, just like I would. This is what it means when we say all disease is cell disease. All disease is cell disease, meaning all disease is caused by cells that have not been fed, that are breathing polluted air, and they're stewing and wallowing in their own waste. And medicine cannot help us there. Medicine cannot do anything about cells wallowing in their own waste, self-starving, or self-suffocating. Medicine, drugs, pharmacology, doctor strategies work on the aftermath. They are like addressing the house after the tornado has hit it. The pharmacomedical model is like, it's like spraying air freshener in an outhouse. It's too late. The outhouse stinks. Your air freshener is not going to help. And your drugs aren't going to help either. All disease is cell disease, which means that at the most fundamental level, it's the cells that are diseased, and they're in the process of diseasing. It's not the organs that are the problem, and it's not the patient that's the problem. So to reverse disease, we got to go to the cells, not the organs, not the person. Drugs and surgeries work on the organs, the structure, and the person. Why? Because the medical model cannot help us at the level of a cell. No worries. We don't need doctors. We don't need pharmacists. We don't need insurance companies. We can do it ourselves. Digestion is always involved at the core. The same with blood sugar and insulin, and that's it in a nutshell. Ultimately, the adrenal glands and the thyroid are going to be involved. But from a physical perspective and reversing disease, sure, the adrenal glands and the thyroid are going to be involved, so we'll include those. But if you really want to get to the core of it, focus on the digestive system, focus on blood sugar. And blood sugar is really a food issue too, so really it's digestion and food ultimately. Work on foods and food choices and eating a lot less. You got ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, you're worried about it? Work on foods and food choices. Eat a lot less, fast, correct toxicity issues, and that also means digestive support. Eliminate problem foods. Avoid excitotoxins, MSG and such. And make sure to keep your blood sugar under control. There's a major link between elevated blood sugar and ALS and all neurological diseases. Major link, not a minor link, a major link between blood sugar, insulin, and ALS and neurological degenerative diseases. Use your Biolumin Nightly Essence. Use your ultimate enzymes. The ultimate enzymes will help you for inflammation, and they'll also help you for digesting your food. The Z radical with the fucoid will also help. The fucoid Z is even better. Eat less, a lot less. If I had ALS, I would only be eating when absolutely necessary. Make sure you're nutriating, using your Mighty 90 in abundance, especially selenium and the ultimate EFAs, which are especially important for nerve cells. And make sure you're doing your deep breathing techniques, breathing in slowly, in through the nose and out through the nose. It's very important that you do it slowly. And it's very important that you use just the nose. Breathing, nose is for breathing, mouth is for eating. Do it regularly. At least 3 or 4 minutes a day, and do about 2 breaths a minute. You might want to try even hyperbaric oxygen chambers. All right, that's it. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're going to take a break. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about this vapor hormone that's so darn important. We're coming back with your phone calls. 855-660-4261 is our number. Don't go away. Got more good health information coming at you right after this. All right, we're back on the bright side. Got a letter from Dante. He says, thank you for your gallstone remedy. To the caller on yesterday's show, sauerkraut, probiotics, apple cider vinegar, and lecithin, yes. Would it help to fast too? Absolutely would help to fast. And then Dante goes on to ask, is it true that gallstones are caused in part because the body likes to recirculate the bile? Absolutely. This is what causes the bile to become sticky and sludgy. As it's recirculating, it's collecting waste and toxins. That's one of the functions of bile, is to collect waste and toxins for excretion, but some of that waste and toxicity will get recycled, and the more waste and toxicity there is, the thicker and sludgier the bile is going to be, and the more likely it's going to be to form stones as it tries to squeeze through the tiny little vessels or ducts as it goes into the small intestine. And then Dante asks, do you think, he mentions Karen Hurd's, Dr. Karen Hurd, I'm not sure who she is, he mentions her idea of eating legumes, encouraging the body to make new, less viscous bile. Yes, that is correct. Eating legumes may be helpful. That's because legumes are a good source of fiber, and fiber will stick to, soluble fiber anyway, will stick to bile. Soluble fiber is gooey fiber as opposed to hard fiber, which is insoluble. Beans are a rich source. Legumes and beans are a rich source of soluble fiber, and yes, indeed, soluble fiber can help encourage the elimination of toxic sludgy bile. Bile will stick to the fiber, and then the fiber will get eliminated. However, some people do have a problem with beans, and some people have a problem with legumes, and if that's the case, then you could make matters worse using legumes. You just got to kind of see how you are with beans and legumes. But soluble fiber in general can be a nice protective mechanism for keeping your bile clean. And if you're dealing with gallstones, you might want to consider upping your intake of soluble fiber, although I'm not sure necessarily that I would use legumes or beans, given that so many people have problems with those kinds of foods. Soluble fiber is found in most fruits. Mushy fruits, pears, apples, those kinds of fruits that have a kind of mushy quality. That's the bananas. That's the soluble fiber. Sweet potatoes are also good source of soluble fiber. Squashes, pretty much all mushy, squishy vegetables and fruits are good sources of soluble fiber. If you're dealing with bile problems, that might be something that you want to think about. Okay, thank you for writing, Dante. Appreciate it. Our number is 855-660-4261. Time to hit our phones. Pamela in Boston, what's up? Welcome to the bright side.
Hi, good morning. My mother started on the youngevity products about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And she basically was starting to have some dementia issues. And so we had her on the bone soup and eggs and whey protein.
Okay.
And not very much. So that's about 3 weeks ago. A week ago, she started not wanting to walk or get up or do anything. And so she went to the hospital because she fell. It took 3 of us to get her up. And they put her in the hospital, said she had a urinary tract infection and a blood infection.
Okay.
And they're giving her vancomycin, 1,000 milligrams every 24 hours. And then they gave her meropenem, 8 hours, 500 milligrams. That's yesterday.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second thing. What was the second thing you said?
Meropenem, meropenem.
Okay.
Every 8 hours, 500 milligrams, and that she later started that yesterday. Before that, on Sunday morning, they started giving her. They were giving her Rocephin.
Okay, these are all antibiotics and pretty powerful ones. At least the vancomycin is, and the meropenem. So what do you want? How can I help you, ma'am?
Well, we want to know if we want to continue her homeopathic youngevity vitamins while she's in the hospital.
Okay.
And the doctor,
they won't let you. They won't let you probably.
Well, they tried to, but I want to know is there any recourse that I have to say, because if this is nutritious food.
No, you're in the hospital. You're under their care. They're in charge of you. You don't own your body when you're in the hospital. You no longer own your body. They own your body. They can do whatever they want, and you can do nothing of what you want, as long as you're in the hospital. So that's just how it is. Now, how old's your mom, by the way?
86 years old.
All right. Well, God bless you that you had your mom for so long, but there's a lot you could do. A lot. Are you on the Healthy Start Pack? Or is she on the Healthy Start Pack using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine especially?
Yeah, she has Beyond Tangy Tangerine. She has the Beyond Osteo FX.
Well, hang on, ma'am. Hang on. I want to get her. The most important thing right now is get her a high concentration of liquid nutrition, especially the B vitamins and vitamin C and the electrolytes. That's job number one at this point. Now, there's a second important thing you're going to want to do, but I just want to make sure she's getting in the hospital, you can't do anything, but when she's out of the hospital, make sure she's sipping on that BTT all day long, sipping on it, not drinking it all at once, sipping on it. And then keep up with the bone soup. The next thing you want to do because of the urinary tract infection and what was the other thing you said? Oh, the blood infection. Both of those are telling me there's something going on with the digestive system, which is typical, not unusual at all. So you're going to have to start patching up her gut, and the Z radical might be something to think about. Number one, it's going to help her with her immune system. It's wonderful for building immunity. But number two, it's also going to help soothe the gut and help rebuild the digestive tract lining. So get her on the Z radical, or even better, the Fuchs Z, in addition to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the keeping her on the bone soup. The Healthy Start, the bone and joint pack. That's great. That's something that's going to help as well. But for now, the most important thing to do is the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, your Z radical, and then keeping her on the bone soup. But while she's in the hospital, it's going to be a little tougher. But as soon as she gets out, have her sipping on that BTT as well as the bone soup right away, and then making sure she's using the Fuchs Z. There's still lots of other things you could do. Probably the Biolumin Nightly Essence is important, and fermented foods. I'd be focusing on the digestive system as well as liquid nutrients, ma'am. Is there anything else?
Well, I'm concerned that they're saying that the source of the infection is a Metaport that she had when she had cancer in 98, and they use that for chemo, and it's been in there since 98. They want to take it out, and I'm not sure. They want to give her fentanyl locally and another...
Well, that's what they do, ma'am. The fentanyl is just a pain reliever. That's not going to help her infection at all. And she may have a problem with the Metaport. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. By the way, a Metaport is a little catheter, kind of like a little appliance that goes underneath the skin and sends medicine into the veins from underneath the skin. It could definitely have something to do with that. I don't know that it doesn't, but most importantly, from a nutritional standpoint, you want to focus on the digestive system and on liquid nutrition. Liquid nutrition, digestive system health. That's what I would be doing.
So the Z radical and the Z coidal, you said?
Fucoid Z. Fucoid Z is a little bit more bang for your buck than the Z radical. Fucoid Z, the nightly essence, and then the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. You probably should do the whole Healthy Start Pack, but at the very least, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Okay, she does have the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and you're saying Z-Coid and Z, and there's something called Nightly Essence?
Correct. Nightly Essence, Fucoid and Z. Call this number, 866-735-2470. Tell them everything I just told you. They'll know all about it.
2570?
2470. 866-735-2470.
Okay, then now should I have them take her off of all of those antibiotics?
I can't tell you that, although she may need the antibiotics. I don't know that that's the case. She may need, sometimes you need antibiotics. That's one medicine that you need. The kind of medicine that we rail about is not the antibiotics necessarily, because sometimes you need those, and I can't speak to that. She may need them. But as soon as she gets off of them, make sure she's on that Biolumin Nightly Essence, because the antibiotics, in addition to killing the bad bacteria, are also killing the good bacteria. You guys, after a regimen of antibiotics, always make sure you're using probiotics, the Biolumin Nightly Essence, as well as the Jordan Rubin probiotic enriched products. Debbie, Pamela, I got to move. I apologize. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it. All right, if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back from our break. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. If you're interested in checking out my YouTube videos with health coach Amanda Rideout, send an email to ben@ksco.com. We just finished one on the Fucoid Z product from Youngevity, fucoxanthin and fucose, the active ingredients in fucoidin, which itself is found in brown algae. They have some tremendous properties. You know, that help lighten your skin. You can actually apply your Fucoid Z capsules to your skin, make your own skincare products, or make your own skin paste or skin mask, or put it into a skin cream. It'll help lighten your skin, being studied in Japan and Asia for just that purpose. Fucoxanthin, fucose, the active ingredients in the Fucoid Z product, have got some tremendous properties for the skin, for the immune system, for the circulatory system. They fight cancer. They're antiviral. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can check out our videos. Send me an email, ben@ksco.com, and we'll put you on an email list, notify you when the videos come out. You can also order the Fucoid Z and the Z Radical if you're interested in checking out those products by calling the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. You can also head over to brightsideben.com and click on the shopping cart, pull down on the menu, and purchase the products right off the website at brightsideben.com. Okay, 855-660-4261 is our number today. Karen in Arizona, welcome to the Bright Side.
Hi, I was a couple of days, or last week, I was diagnosed with a cataract in my right eye.
Okay.
And I had this little floaty thing too. And when I was a young girl, you know, I had in the right eye, I had a weakness of my muscle in the right eye. So I was just wondering what your opinion on cataracts and what can be done.
Okay, well, as we said so many times in the program, all disease is cell disease. A cataract is a disease of the cells of the lens of the eye. The cells of the lens of the eye get defective, and they get hard, and that's what a cataract is. It's it shows up as a cloudiness in the lens, but really it's caused by cells that are becoming defective, and those defects are typically caused by sugar, toxicity, lack of nutrition and a lack of oxygen, most especially sugar, which, of course, as we say so many times in this program, is a toxin. After a tiny little bit of sugar that should be in your blood, the rest of it, if it's not stored anyway, is going to be a toxin, and it's going to cause defects in cells. So a cataract is nothing more than a defective cell in the lens of the eye. And it's very common, by the way. How old are you, ma'am? Or approximately?
I'll be 70 next month.
Okay, very common. And blood sugar, dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar, is also very common. Even if you haven't been diagnosed as a diabetic, you still more than likely can rest assured that you got some blood sugar problems if you're 70 years old or 80 years old, regardless of being diagnosed or not. So first and foremost, we got to get you on those mighty 90 essential nutrients. Must have. That's the first thing to do. And sip on your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. There's 3 main products in the Healthy Start Pack, and they'll cover all of your mighty 90 essential nutrients. Get on them right away. Second thing you want to do is get on the Sweeties product. As I say, there's a major link between cataracts and dysglycemia and blood sugar problems. The Sweeties will help your body control sugar. That's the chromium and vanadium especially. And by the way, magnesium, which you'll get in the Healthy Start Pack, also has some protective benefits for blood sugar. Might want to throw in a couple other nutrients that are important for blood sugar. One is called alpha lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic acid is great for helping stabilize blood sugar. We've been talking about the fucoidan Z. We spent a little bit of time anyway, talking about it today. And fucoidan Z also has some anti-blood sugar properties. So get on the fucoidan Z, or at least the Z radical. All of this is in the name of stabilizing your blood sugar. And then specifically for the eyes, you might want to try vitamin A. 20,000 international units of vitamin A. And by the way, as long as we're talking so much about fucoidan Z, some of the compounds in fucoidan actually have vitamin E-like, have a chemical structure that's similar to vitamin E. So you may get some eye benefits directly from the fucoidan Z as well as from the Z radical. There's a product Youngevity makes called Vision FX, which might help you with your eyes also, and that might be something to think about. And then last but most certainly not least, whenever you have a degenerative issue, which cataracts count as a degenerative issue, you always want to focus on digestive health, making sure that nothing's leaking through the gut into the blood inappropriately. That means building the digestive lining, making sure that you're staying away from any problem foods. If you know there's foods that cause digestive distress, those are foods you want to avoid. And then using your Biolumin Nightly Essence is also important for all digestive health issues. Even if you don't know you have digestive health issues, or even if you don't know you have blood sugar issues at the age of 70, pretty much assume there's something that it's not operating pristinely, especially if you're already dealing with cataracts. Does that help you, ma'am?
Yes, it did. It kind of gave me some ideas what to work with, and
good deal.
What to eliminate.
Let me give you 2 more quickies, 2 more quick nutrients that might be helpful
and
for the eyes.
And by the way, diabetes is hereditary in both my mom and my dad's side of the family.
Well, then you can, I'm not a big believer in the whole hereditary thing, but you're probably got some messed up blood sugar. Cataracts and blood sugar, messed up blood sugar go hand in hand. Let me give you a couple more things real quick, and then I'm going to let you go. Taurine, which is important for all electrical health issues, and that includes brain health and eye health and heart health. Taurine, maybe 100 to 200 milligrams a day, and then zinc, 50 milligrams a day. I like zinc picolinate, and lest I forget, the ultimate selenium may also help you with cataracts.
I take selenium because I have also thyroid hypo.
There you go. All right, and that's probably all connected too. Thanks for your call, Karen. Appreciate
all right,
it.
Thank
God
you
bless.
so much for your help.
Have a beautiful day, ma'am. Okay, Malery in Texas, what's up? Welcome to the bright side.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I just had a couple of questions. Over the past year, I noticed really uncomfortable pain in my lower abdomen, and I went to the doctor, and they had me take a CT scan and an ultrasound, and they found that I had an ovarian cyst.
Just one? Just multiple?
Yeah, just one on my right side.
Okay.
And they had me monitor it for about a month, and my doctor told me to stay off of milk because cows have hormones and stuff injected into them. So I stayed off of that, but the pain increased over a while, and so they sent me to a specialist, and then I took another ultrasound, and the cyst was still there, and it looked like it was growing a little bit, and now my doctor also thinks that I have endometriosis, and they want me to have an arthroscopic surgery, and I just needed to know if there were any other options.
Of course there's options. Always options to surgery. I take it your menstrual cycles are probably off, Malery, is that right? Heavy periods, painful periods?
They've kind of been off.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
And how long have you had menstrual problems? Your whole life? Or at least
they've just been really irregular the past 3 years.
When did you start menstruating? So pretty much as soon as you started getting periods, that's when they started to be messed up?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got something's percolating in there, Malery, and you want to correct it. You're very lucky you're only 20 years old because you can turn this thing around. The good news is you can turn it around. The bad news is you're too young for this. You're too young to be dealing with this kind of problem. So first of all, let's focus on your blood sugar. All right, how's your weight? Are you okay with your weight? Any issues there?
Yeah.
It's all good?
Not really.
You're not overweight or anything?
Nope.
Okay, good. That's a good thing. Okay, so first of all, we want to focus on your blood sugar. Cysts are usually involve two major factors. Number one, blood sugar. Number two, female hormones, estrogen specifically. Are the two things you want to focus on. So let's get you going on doing some blood sugar control. Number one, get on the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. That's the Healthy Start Pack. Do it right away. Sip on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Number two, make sure you're weaning yourself as best as you can from all the foods that mess up blood sugar, all the foods we all love. That's bread and potatoes and cereal and rice and candies and cakes and fruit juices and anything that's starchy and that breaks down to sugar quickly. And that includes, by the way, bananas and honeydew and things that we consider to be healthy foods. But I'm not saying zero tolerance. I'm just saying wean yourself slowly off of them and keep them down to a minimum. And then increase your intake of protein and fat, especially coconut oil and perhaps even butter. All right, that's step number one. You're going to focus on blood sugar, weaning yourself off problem foods, and weaning yourself towards protein and fats. Make sure you're on blood sugar control nutrients like the Sweeties product from Youngevity, chromium and vanadium, and then the Healthy Start Pack. Of course, you might want to try the Z Radical or the Fucoidin Z, which will also help stabilize blood sugar. There's a very important relationship between fats, female hormones, and probiotics, good bacteria. Let me say that again. There's a very important relationship between fats, female hormones, and good bacteria. You're probably craving fatty foods. Most ladies who have menstrual problems crave fatty foods. So what you want to be doing is you want to make sure you're getting good fats. And that means essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs, and helping your body process fats by using probiotics. That is the biolumin nightly essence. That alone might make a significant difference for you. You might want to consider progesterone cream. You'll have to get that on a prescription from a savvy doctor, and a pharmacist can make that for you. Or you might want to try pregnenolone, Pregnenolone, pregnenolone capsules or tablets around 100 milligrams a day. And then last but not least, in addition to your OsteoFX, which will get you some magnesium, why don't you throw in a little extra magnesium, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium glycinate a day. That might be something that you want to think about. There's lots more you could do, but it'll give you a good start. Thanks so much for your call, Malery. Appreciate it. And thank you to all our callers, all our letter writers, all our listeners. Appreciate you all very, very much. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about connective tissue and the vapor hormone and the hormone system in general. If you're interested in joining the Brightside Ben phone team, 866-735-2470. The Brightside Ben team, call the phone team at 866-735-2470. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Have a wonderful day.